men build their towers, reaching for the sky, but every false image is destined to die. The everlasting Father, the beginning and the end, our sovereign, our light, our Savior, our friend. One law to give, one path to turn, one allure to praise, one light to earn, one art, one purpose, one vision we see. Yahuwah is one for eternity. Here we show the truth we confess. He's always there during our distress. There is no other, there is no one beside. Yahuwah, our Elohim, in whom we abide. One name, one throne, one Father's decree. The sovereign of all. Let your presence be. One king, one name, one source, one flame. Yahuwah
Yes, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom, mishpachah. For this is the day that Yahuwah has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Yes, that song there that you just heard, that was from our Cody Alexis Washington. It's called Yahuwah is One. I'm going to get her permission to see if I can put that on our website so you guys can listen to it at your own leisure, praising Abba Yahuwah that he is one. Hallelujah. For those of you who are able-bodied and able to stand, let us stand up and bring in the Shabat with the blowing of the shofar as we stand facing towards the eternal city, the city of the great King, Yahushalom. Heavenly Abba Yahuwah, we come before you on this Yaum, the first Shabbat of the Shana. Abba, we give you all praise, honor, and esteem for allowing us to come together as your people in one mind, in one accord, in one ruach, under one banner, in the name of Yahuwah. Abba, we give you praise and honor on this Yaum with your esteem, O Abba. We bring it before you, O Yah, ourselves as yielded vessels, wanting to be used by your mighty hand, O Yah. May your Ruach HaKadosh go before us on this Yom. May you help us to only keep our mind upon you and you alone, O Abba. May we not speak our own words. May we not do the things that pleases us. May we only look for those things that please you, O Abba, as we esteem this Yom. This Yom that is supposed to be above all other Yom. Abba, we ask that you would continue to forgive us for those of us who fall short, who may not keep your TURAH to its actual letter to the decree. But we ask that you would be mindful of us, O Abba, for we are just mere humans, mere Adam's kind. We have many things that are a problem with us, O Abba. We ask that you would deal with us according to your patience and your mercy and your long suffering, and not according to our transgressions that we have committed before you. Abba, we ask that you would prepare your people. Prepare us for this time that we are dwelling in now, in these last days, knowing that it's soon about to happen, that your day shall come, when you will crack that sky and you will gather your elect from the four winds of the earth. Abba, we look forward to that Yom. We continue to pull off for all of our Akis and our Kodis, even if they don't know that this day is Shabbat. We ask that you would deal with them, O Abba, according to your ways and not their ways, O Abba. We know that you are always faithful, even when we're faithless. We ask that you help us to be faithful with the things that you have given us, the little bit that you have given us, that we are to take care of on your behalf. Abba, may we continue to pull off for one another. We palaw for those that are sick amongst us in the mighty name of Yahusha. We palaw for those who are downtrodden and saddened in the mighty name of Yahusha. We also palaw for those, O Abba, wherever they may be on this Arats, who call upon your name and seek your face, who wish to do your Torah, who have the testimony of Yahusha in their mouth, and Abba, that know the truth. We palaw for them. We also palaw for our enemies. We palaw for the politicians that lead over us. We palaw for the authorities that are over us. Abba, we palaw for all these things, being mindful that you do not like rebellion, and that we may not be rebellious people any longer, O Abba, that we may walk according to your decree, according to your words, according to your statutes and commandments, O Abba. Help us to walk in the truth and not according to tradition of men. All this we ask in the mighty name of your Bein Yahushua HaMashiach. And now we ask that you would lead us on this Shabbat, on your Yom, on your day, in the mighty name of your Bein Yahusha. Hallelujah, hallelujah, and hallelujah, Amat. Rumamu Yahuwah. Amat. Okay, Mishpaka. It is so wonderful to see so many of you here on this Shabbat. It's amazing. I was wondering, I'm like, I wonder how many people are actually going to show up on this MON day, because, we are just creatures of habit. And we do things that we don't even realize that we're doing, but we're doing it. And I know for some of you that is the case, but you know what? We have a merciful Abba that we worship. He is not going to strike us down every time we do something wrong. No. Look how long he's dealt with us all these years when we didn't know this truth. And then we're still learning about the truth. So try not to be too hard on yourself as you're learning. The fact is that you're growing. We're all growing in this truth. And the fact that you're here on this day when others would say, no, this isn't the day, this isn't the Sabbath, and you're here. Many of you have looked into this matter. Some of you haven't, and that's okay. Time will come when you will have your chance to look into this matter to make sure that today is Shabbat. We don't never want anyone to take our words for it. We want you to see it through the word, through the scriptures. You got to rightly divide that word of truth, and you got to do it for yourself. No one is supposed to teach you. Not me, not anyone. The only one who is supposed to teach you is himself, by his Ruach, by his spirit. Amat? All right. So let me say a few things before we get into the reading. A few announcements I need to make. For those of you who have not sent us your itinerary, I'm going to assume that you are not coming. Why am I saying I'm going to assume that you are not coming? Because the plane tickets are getting outrageously expensive, okay? Which is one of the reasons why we told many of you who said that you were coming to give you ample amount of opportunity to make sure that you were able to secure your plane ticket. Now, there's no problems if you're not coming. The only thing that I can say is that your monies, whatever you sent and you're not coming, I cannot give that back to you because it's paying for the Airbnb and it's also paying for your t-shirt. If you're not coming, now I'm going to have to send the t-shirt to you, which is going to cost money as well. So I would ask that you be patient with me as I try to fulfill those orders for those of you who are not coming to get it to you. But it will get to you, okay? Because of the time that we're living in, because of the things that this world is going through, because of our leaders and what they're choosing to do to cause instability in this world is also changing our lives. And we're having to make adjustments in our life. So I just wanted to say that we're going to start marking people off to know that they are not coming. We won't be looking for you at the airport because we didn't get an itinerary from you. If you do get one to me, we would definitely honor it. We'll definitely pick you up. Okay, we don't want anyone being stranded at the airport. So if you are coming, please let us know. We're literally less than 2 weeks away. And it's going to be a fabulous time before Abba Yahuwah. And even if you can't come, we're going to be on live, and we are going to do this together. No matter where you live on the Sarats, we're going to do it together. Okay? Hallelujah. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and start reading here, as we always do, is our custom, our practice. We're going to read from the TURAH, from the Nabaim, and from the Katubim. For those of you who don't know what I just said, we're going to read from the law, the prophets, and the writings, which also includes the new writings. You may call it the New Testament. All right, so let's begin. So I'm going to be reading out of TS 2009, also known as the Scriptures 2009 edition. And since we're getting ready to, and since we're in a new year and we're getting ready to do the Pesach, we're going to read a little bit about that today, because I need you all that are going to celebrate this time with us to get what you need and to know what you need to do in your neck of the woods, in your geographical location. All right, so let me build this up. We're going to read from Shemot chapter 12, also known as Exodus chapter 12. Many of you know these passages, but let's read it. Verse 1. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, This is the first month, the beginning of months for you. It is the first month of the year for you. Now again, while some of you are probably wondering why, if we have any newcomers here, we don't use the word moon in these passages, because as you can see, it has been italicized, which means that the translators have inserted this word that wasn't there in the original transcript, which would be in the Hebrew. Okay, so they added this, and this has caused much confusion, especially in these last days of people trying to find the true calendar. We'll speak about that here in a little bit. Verse 3. Speak to all the congregation of Yasharal, saying, On the 10th day of this month, each one of them is to take for themselves a lamb, according to the house of their father, a lamb for a household. Okay, now, here we don't do this anymore, because again, the Mashiach was our lamb, our Passover lamb. All right, so we're not setting aside a 1-year-old male lamb without any spot or wrinkle on the 10th day of the first month. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the beings. According to each person's need, you make your account for the lamb. Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year-old male. Take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of that same month. Then all the assembly of the congregation of Yasharal shall slay it at the evening. We'll go into why I had to do all of this here. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it. And they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire, with unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs. They shall eat it. Let me read verse 8 again. And they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire, not baked, not boiled, roasted, open fire, with unleavened bread, that is matzah, and with bitter herbs, whatever you should choose to eat it with, that is bitter herb, they shall eat it. Do not eat it raw, nor boiled at all with water, but roasted in fire, its head with its legs and its inward parts. I'm going to tell you guys a story about this again. Some of you have heard me already share about this, what I did in one of my, when I first came into the truth. Let's continue. And do not leave it until Bakor. This is very important. Do not leave it until Bakor. And what remains of it until Bakor, you are to burn with fire. And this is how you eat it. This is how you eat the Pesach. Your loins girded, meaning that you have underwear on. Your sandals on your feet, you have some tennis shoes or some type of shoe strapped onto your feet. And your staff in your hand, a walking stick. And you shall eat it in haste, meaning in a hurry. It is the Pesach of Yahuwah. It is not the Pesach of Yasharal. It is not the Pesach of Christianity. It is not the Pesach of anything else but of Yahuwah. And I shall pass through the land of Mitzrayim, that is the house of bondage, or also symbolically, spiritually speaking, the world, on that night, and shall strike all the firstborn of the land of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, both human and beasts. And all the mighty ones of Mitzrayim I shall execute judgment. I am Yahuwah. Right here, and on all the mighty ones. This has to do with all their strange foreign deities, their idols. He was going to judge against them. The ones that they were following, the Egyptians, and even probably some of the Hebrews that are Israelites that were there at that time when they were getting ready to be exiting out of Egypt, what we know as Exodus. Verse 13. And the dam, the blood, shall be a sign, a oath for you on the bait or the houses where you are. And when I see the dam, the blood, I shall pass over you, and let the plague not come on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Mitzrayim, when I strike the world. And this day shall become to you a remembrance. Let me read that again. And this day shall become to you a remembrance. Another way of saying it is a memorial, a holiday, a set apart day. And you shall celebrate it as a festival. What did it say? You shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahuwah throughout your generations. Celebrate it as a festival, an everlasting law. Let me say those last three words again. An everlasting law. Hallelujah. Yahuwah. Okay, so we're going to stop there. Now let's go to the Nabaim, also known as the prophets. And we are going to read out of Yashayahu. Many of you already know where I'm going here because today is the Shabat. We're going to Yashayahu, Isaiah chapter 58, verse 13. As a reminder, how we are to conduct ourselves. Remember, the law is laws of conduct. It's the way that we, as the children of Yasharal, those native born and those grafted in, this is how we are to walk before Yahuwah. Verse 13. If you do turn back your foot from the Shabbat, from doing your pleasure on my set-apart Yaum, and shall call the Shabbat a delight, the set-apart Yaum of Yahuwah, esteemed, and shall esteem it, not doing your own ways, that's number one, nor finding your own pleasure, that's number two, nor speaking your own words, that's number three, then you shall delight yourself in Yahuwah, and I, that is Yahuwah, saying, he shall cause you to ride on the heights of the Arats, and feed you with the inheritance of Yaqub, your father, for the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken. Now we're going to go to the writings. Now we're going to the Brit HaKadash. Some pronounce it Brit Hadashah. You may know it as the New Testament. All right. Let's see. Let me make sure this is it. Okay. We're going to chapter 16 of Yohanan. You may know it as John. Chapter 16 of the Epistle of Yohanan, also known as John. Verse 1. These words I have spoken to you, so that you do not stumble. They shall put you out of the congregations, but an hour is coming when everyone who unalives you shall think that they are rendering service to Alua Elohim. Let me say that one more time. But an hour is coming when everyone who unalives you shall think that they are rendering service to Alua Elohim. And this they shall do to you because they did not know the Father nor me. But I have said these words to you so that when the hour does come, when that time does come, you shall remember that I told them to you. And these words I did not say to you at the beginning, for I was with you. But now I go away to him who sent me. And not one of you ask me, where are you going? But because I have said these words to you, grief or sadness has filled your heart. But I say the truth to you. It is better for you that I go away. For if I do not go away, the Helper shall not come to you at all. But if I go, I shall send him to you. And having come, he shall convict the world concerning transgression, and concerning righteousness, and concerning judgment. Concerning transgression, because they do not believe in me. Now, for those of you who was with me yesterday, you know this word comes from a Greek word, pistu. Pistu, in its original form, if it was translated properly, this would be obey. So again, let's read this. Concerning transgression, because they do not obey me. Concerning righteousness, because I go to my Father, and you see me no more. Concerning judgment, because the ruler of this world is judged. I still have many words to say to you, but you are not able to bear them now. But when he comes, the Ruach of truth, of Amat, he shall guide you into all the truth. For he shall not speak from himself, but whatever he hears, he shall speak, and he shall announce to you what is to come. That is prophecy, what is to come. He shall esteem me, for he shall take of what is mine and announce it to you. All that the Father has is mine. That is why I said that he takes from what is mine and announces it to you. A little while, and you do not see me. And again a little while, and you shall see me. Therefore some of his taught ones said to one another, what is this that he says to us? A little while, and you do not see me, and again a little while, and you shall see me. And because I am going to the Father? So they said, what is this that he says? A little while. We do not know what he is saying. Yahusha, that is the Messiah, the Mashiach, therefore knew that they were wishing to ask him, and he said to them, are you asking one another about what I said? A little while, and you do not see me, and again a little while, and you shall see me? Amat, I say to you, that you shall weep and lament, but the world, they're going to rejoice. And you shall be grieved, you shall be sad, but your grief shall become joy. The woman has grief when she is in labor, because her hour has come. But as soon as she has given birth to the child, she no longer remembers the affliction, for joy of that person was born into the world. And you, therefore, have grief now, but I shall see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and no one takes your joy away from you. Hallelujah. And in that day, you shall ask me none at all. Amat, I say to you, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he shall give you. He doesn't say he may give it to you. He says, no, he will give it to you. Until now you have asked nothing in my name. Ask, and you shall receive, in order that your joy might be complete. These words I have spoken to you in figures of speech. Notice this. I have spoken to you in figures of speech, but an hour is coming when I shall no longer speak to you in figures of speech, but I shall declare the Father plainly to you. Why do I have this underlined? Because he's about to tell them later who he is. Who he is. That is the book of Revelation, the revealing of the Father in the Son. In that day you shall ask in my name, and I do not say to you that I shall pray or palal the Father on your behalf, for the Father himself does love you, because you have loved me and have believed that I came forth from Alua Alahim. I came forth from the Father and have come into the world. Again, I leave the world and go to the Father. He, in his talk, once said to him, "See, now you are speaking plainly and not using figures of speech. Now we know that you know all." What? As my Aki Al would say, now we know that you know all and have no need that anyone should question you. By this we believe that you came forth from Alua Alahim. Yahusha answered them, "Do you now believe? Do you now believe? Do you now obey? Are you going to now obey me? See, an hour is coming and has now come that you are scattered, each to his own, and leave me alone. Yet I am not alone because the Father is with me. These words I have spoken to you, that in me you might have shalom. In the world you have pressure. Your translation may say tribulation or testing or trials. But take courage. I have overcome the world. I have overcome Egypt. I have overcome the house of bondage. Hallelujah. Okay, so let's go back here to Shemot. And I must tell you all, and I do apologize, I'm going to have to leave here in a little while because I do have an emergency on this Shabbat. One of my tenants at a property that I am managing, not to tell the whole story, but they locked themselves out, and I'm going to have to be there with the garage. It's a garage, not their home. And it's not attached to the house. That the garage is separated from the house, and they can't get in, and there's no way to get in other than having to call a garage technician so he can open it up without me tearing it up. So anyhow, I have to go do that. But once I'm done with that, I'm going to fly right back over here, Yahuwah willing, and we're going to get back on, and we're going to continue on with our Shabath studies. So again, I have to apologize to you all for this, that I have to go do that in a little while. He will be texting me here when he is ready to head that direction, and I'll be meeting him there. Okay, so I just needed to say that before I forget. And you guys are like, what? What's going on? Why you got to leave? That's the reason I got to leave. Unfortunately, the rest of the world doesn't know that today is Shabbat, as you all know. And we're going to have a lot of these issues throughout the year because a lot of people, including ourselves, are going to be getting adjusted to this time. Okay? But the beauty of it is, again, is our obedience. That's the key. Obedience. Your heart posture, your heart condition. Who is it for? Is it for the world or is it for Yahuwah? That's how you always know if you're on the right path, your heart condition. Because remember, he's looking at your heart. He's not looking at your flesh. He could care what your paint job is. He wants to know what is going on in that mind. Is that mind for him, or is it for this world? Or is it for some other deity? Or is it for some idol or some other image? Okay, so Pesach, Passover. Some of you may never have done. In fact, let me find out. Let me see in the comments. How many of you have never celebrated Passover before? If this is your first time that you're going to do it, give me a 1. Give me a 1 if it's your first time celebrating Passover. Brooke, you say it's your first time. Okay, there's a lot of you. Wow. More than I expected. Okay, so this is going to be definitely a word that needs to be spoken. I did not know there were so many of you who've never celebrated Pesach. Hallelujah to Abba Yahuwah. Okay, so let's do this. I want to make sure that all of you are paying attention, and if you're not, you can always go back and rewatch this. As you all know, this automatically uploads to this channel. All right, so we're in Exodus chapter 12. This is where the instructions was first given to the children of Yasharal. We just read it earlier, but I want to break it down a little bit so it's a little more clear. Okay, so let's go directly to the point. So we were talking about this lamb that they were instructed, the children of Yasharah was instructed to put aside on the 10th day. Now, for those of you who have calendar beads, I want to show you where that is on your calendar bead. On the calendar bead, this is one that I wanted me to show today. But on the calendar bead, you're going to notice, if you have it oriented this way, this is the way I always orient it. You can flip it around. You can literally do it this way and go the opposite direction, okay? You can still do the same thing going this way, but this will be your first, and then this would be your 12th month. But because, we're kind of used to doing what we do here in the United Snakes of America, we go from left to right and not right to left. So we're going to be doing this from left to right. Okay, so as many of you know with the calendar beads, and I'm speaking to those who don't know, each calendar bead comes differently, different colors, but they all have the same references. Okay, so here, all the pink ones down that you see, all the pink ones, except for here, those three there, okay, and these out here, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about what's here, okay? All that stuff up there, don't concern yourself. It's nothing. It's more for cosmetic than anything. So this is the first month, all right? This was the spring equinox. We just had that a few days ago. Actually, 3 days ago. Today's the 4th day of the year, okay? We're in a new year. For those of you who don't know, the biblical year begins at the spring equinox, okay? This is biblical. It's also in the book of Enoch. It's also in the book, or what we call the Dead Sea Scrolls, okay? So here is where we're at today. All the silver beads that you see here, there's 52 of them, because there's 52 Sabbaths a year, 52 weeks a year. So we have 52 silver beads here. So here is where we're at. Now, what we just read in Exodus chapter 12 about setting aside a 1-year-old lamb on the 10th day would be this pink one right here. We don't do that one, okay? We have it here as observation, but we don't do that, okay? We don't actually take a physical lamb that's still alive and put it aside until the 14th day. So if you was to count from the bottom, we know this to be the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th day. That's what we was just reading right here when it says, verse 3, speak to all the congregation of Yasharal, saying on the 10th day of this month, okay? And we're getting ready to get into why all this, what they call new moon and all of this that's causing the confusion with a lot of us in this walk. We're going to talk about that today. On the 10th day of this month, each one of them is to take for themselves a lamb according to the house of their father, a lamb for a household. Okay? So now, that's what this bead right here represents. Okay? But we're not doing that. As I said earlier, we're not doing that. I was hitting the wrong one. It's this one here. Apologies. Now, with that being said, let's continue, because this one right here is the 14th day. This is what we want to concern ourselves with. This is the Passover, okay, the 14th. So again, if you was to count it from the bottom, from here, so we already know that this is the 10th, because we just counted it, 11, 12, 13, 14. This pink bead right here, this first pink bead of these that are here in the series, this is the Passover. The next 7 days, including this Sabbath, is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right. So let's go back and let's read. Now we're going to get into the 14th day. Verse 6. And you shall keep it until the 14th day on the same month. Then all the assembly of the congregation of Yasharal shall slay it at the evening. Now I said I was going to explain this, and I want to show you why it is not between the evenings. Okay. Now there's a confusion out there, and I want to make sure I clarify this. Notice here it says, and you shall keep it. What is the it? What is the subject matter here? It's the lamb that they had to put aside on the 10th day. So you shall keep the lamb until the 14th day on that same month. Then all the assembly of the congregation of Yasharal shall slay the lamb, the it, at the evening. You can't do it between the evenings. Why can't we do it between the evenings? I'm going to show you why. This is a wrong translation right here. It should say at the evening. Okay. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it. And they shall eat the flesh on that night. Notice that they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. They shall eat it. Do not eat it raw, nor boiled at all with water, but roasted in fire, its heads with its legs and its inward parts. Now here's verse 10. This is why this doesn't make sense. Verse 10, and do not leave it until morning. And what remains of it until morning, you shall burn it with fire. So if we go back up here and it says you shall slay it between the evenings, if that was the actual translation, and it actually has an S here, okay, in this translation called the scriptures. And many of you who've been listening to me and hearing me read the scriptures, you know that this here, at the evenings, that can't be the case, okay? Because if we're talking about 2 evenings, between the evenings, that means from the 14th to the 15th. What am I talking about? The 14th day to the 15th day. So let me show you this on a calendar. It's all about the word choices, and this is why we got to be careful about what people are teaching us and what they're saying to us, because again, if you don't know, then you're going to be in confusion. Okay. So here, first we have what is known as Kadash 1. This is month 1 in Hebrew. Okay, Kadash 1. We're talking about the 14th day, the Pesach. Okay. You notice here, we have it correct, at evening. Here's the evening. This red line represents the evening. So I just need you all to notice this. As you're thinking about this in your mind, each box on a calendar is pretty much a 24-hour period, right? So here, I just wanted to give some visual aid by having our Cody Jackie C, who put this together for us, to put a marker line to divide the day in half. Okay, so this portion here would be light, or the day. This portion here would be the night. So this line here represents evening, even light, even darkness. This is where we get the word even or evening from, okay? Now, if we was to take what we just read, where it says you are to slay it between the evenings, which is why you see me having it crossed out here, between the evenings, that would be from this evening, because we know that Pesach starts in the evening. The next evening would be here, okay? But then we've been given instructions here in verse 10, I believe it was. Let me back this out a little bit. Oh, yeah, verse 10. And do not leave it, which is what? The lamb, until morning. What remains of it until morning, you are to burn with fire. So now let's go back and look at this calendar one more time. This is why we know between the evenings, plural, has to be wrong. So if it's between the evenings that you can slay it between the evenings, but you're told that you're supposed to eat it that night, there's only one night between the evenings, and that's right here. This is the night, because this is the next day, and then you go into another evening. This would be between the evenings, these 2 red lines. But you can't keep it until the morning, which is taking you into the next day. So you have to eat it that night, just like the scripture says. So why did the people at the scriptures decide to translate it as between the evenings? I have no idea. But this is where even the King James got it right. So let me show you what the King Jimmy says here. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12 says this, and the KJV did get this right. That doesn't mean that it's a better translation. I'm just showing you that sometimes one gets it right and the other one doesn't. But overall, the scriptures is a way better translation than the King James version. Okay, so here, let's look at this. Verse 6. And you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Yasharal shall unalive it in the evening. You see that? Unalive it in the evening. Okay? So that's why we know it is, and because it makes sense too when you read down here in 10, and you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that what remains of it until the morning you shall burn it with fire. So there is no way that you're supposed to be unaliving it between the evenings. It should be exactly what it says here. And Yasharal shall unalive it in the evening. That's that evening. And we also have our Messiah. Remember, we're to follow the Messiah and his, what am I trying to say? His example. So if we go to Matthew chapter 26, we'll see his example. Matthew chapter 26, because again, we are followers of the Messiah. We're not followers of man. So Matthew chapter 26 says this. And on the first day of unleavened bread, the taught ones came to Yahusha. This is chapter 26, verse 17 of Matthew, saying to him, where do you wish, or where do you want us to prepare you to eat the Pesach? You may know it as the Passover. And he said, go into the city, a certain person will say, and you say to him, the teacher, the rabbi says, my time is near. I am to perform the Pesach at your house with my Talmudim, or my disciples. And the taught ones did as Yahusha had ordered them and prepared the Pesach. Notice verse 20. And when evening came, notice what I have underlined. And when evening came, he sat down with the 12. And while they were eating, what were they eating? They were eating the Passover lamb. He said, Amat, I say to you, one of you shall deliver me up. And he goes into this whole thing about who it was going to be. And we know this story. And then they go into breaking of the bread. This is what many people erroneously call communion. This is what we are to do for Pesach. This is what I want to talk to you all about, what you are to have. So we know we don't slay lambs, bulls, and goats anymore. Okay. If you want to go and purchase a lamb, which that's what me and the group are going to be doing here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have lamb. Okay. Now, it's not to be done according to the Mosaic law, as they would say, but we're purchasing a lamb as a memorial, as a remembrance, as part of the celebration, that we're going to eat it with haste, with our stick, our walking stick in our hands, and our loins girded up, and we got our shoes on. We're ready to do this, and we're eating it in haste. We're going to do the same thing. So I'm sharing with you, this is what you need to do also. Remember what was shared. And we're going to go back into it. But this is what you need. You need, as we have shared before, matzah, okay, unleavened bread. Now, you can go the cheap route, the easy route, and just go and get matzah from your grocery store. Okay, you can go and ask anybody when you go to one of your corporate chain grocery stores, where is the kosher section? Ask them for the kosher section. They'll point you, because they all have it. They have a kosher section. It's usually in the international aisle, or what they call other other nationalities aisle, where they have like Asian foods and Middle Eastern food and all that other stuff. Ask for the kosher section. Go there, find you a matzah without salt. It should be unsalted. Okay. Buy that. Also, you're going to want to get you red wine, okay? Now, if you don't like alcohol, or if you have an issue with alcohol, that's okay. Go get you some Welch's grape, or get you what is called Kedem, 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 which is a better form of Welch's grape juice. It's not as sugary, okay? It's better for you, by the way. And that's all you need, is those two things. Okay, that's it. Nothing difficult. You ain't got to go break the bank to do the Pesach. This ain't like doing Christmas, where you got to go buy everybody a gift and go get a Christmas tree and get all the lights and ornaments and all that. No, this is very easy. Not difficult at all. So don't even have that kind of mentality. This is very simple. You get you unleavened bread, and you get you Welch's grape, or kedem juice, or as I'm going to be doing with many people, we're going to actually drink red wine. Okay. Now, those are the only two things you need. And then we're going to do this on that Yom, on that day. We're going to practice exactly what the Messiah did. We're going to what's the word I'm looking for? We're going to reinstitute what Yahuwah, through his son, his Bane, has given us almost 2,000 years ago when he told them this is his new agreement with us. And so it reads from verse 26. And as they were eating, Yahusha took bread, that is the matzah, that is the unleavened bread, and having baruched, broke and gave it to his taught ones, to his talmidim, his disciples, and said, take, eat, this is my body. And then taking the cup and giving thanks, he gave it to them, saying, drink from it, all of you, for this is my dam, my blood, that of the renewed agreement, renewed contract, renewed marriage vows, that is shed for many for the forgiveness of transgressions. But I say to you, I shall certainly not drink of this fruit of the vine from now on till that day. What day is that? The day of Yahuwah, when I drink it anew with you in the reign or the kingdom of my Father. Okay, so that's what that is. Now we're going to go back to Exodus chapter 12. If you are going to eat lamb, like many of us are going to, if you happen to have any of the Passover lamb left, you're to do what we read here. Verse 10, and do not leave it until morning. And what remains of it until morning, or bakor, you are to burn with fire. So if you happen to have any meat left over, any fat left over, you are to toss it into the fire. Let it burn. Let it burn. Okay, don't let it carry on to the next day. It should burn that bakor. All right. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything here in this passage. Let's see. Oh, so that was the other thing that I wanted to make clarification. So there are some people that say, oh, no, Passover is from evening to evening. Yes, the celebration of Passover is from evening to evening. However, the Passover lamb, as we just read earlier, the Passover lamb is to be consumed between evening and the bakor and morning. So it's only to be eaten that night. None of it is to be taken over to the next day. This is why you have to toss it in the fire. Okay? So again, let us make this clear, because I heard some of you having discrepancies about how Passover is to be taken, how it's to be dealt with, when does it begin, when does it end. Mark the word. Pesach is from evening to evening. The celebration of it is from evening to evening. Okay? But the Passover, the Pesach lamb, is to be eaten from evening until that morning. Okay, I hope everybody got that now. All right? So let's not bicker about when the Passover is and how long the Passover is. The scripture tells us how long the Passover is. The scripture tells us when to eat the Passover lamb and when not to continue to eat the Passover lamb. Okay? So if you go back and you look at the calendar, even in our calendar, it tells you again, this is the evening of the 14th. That's the evening of the 15th. Okay? Now let me back that out a little bit. Now, if you all can recall, our Messiah, who's our Passover lamb, he was unalived here. Okay? On the 15th. You say, well, but that's the next day. Exactly. Exactly. Because again, Passover goes from evening to the next evening. Remember, Joseph of Arimathea went to Pontius Pilate and asked for his body to be taken down because there was a high Sabbath coming. You see, Christianity, they like to place it as if it was on the weekly Sabbath, that the weekly Sabbath was coming, and that the weekly Sabbath and the first day of unleavened bread were together. But anybody who knows the true calendar knows that the weekly Sabbath and any of the appointed times, any of the other feast days, they never coincide with one another. They are always celebrated unto themselves. So if you're following a calendar to where those two merge together like the Jewish calendar does, the so-called Hillel 2 calendar, you are following a wrong calendar. Okay? The high Sabbath that was going on was the first day of unleavened bread. But again, many of us who was raised in Christian circles, we weren't taught with the Hebraic mindset. We were taught with a Roman mindset, an Americanized mindset, a Babylonianized mindset, and this is why we don't understand these things. Okay? So, that being said, again, the Messiah was unalived on this day, because remember, they arrested him in the night of the Pesach. They brought the Messiah to Caiaphas, the high priest, and they brought him there to the Sanhedrin court, and they pretty much marched him to Pontius Pilate. When they marched him to Pontius Pilate, that was the next morning, as it says in Matthew chapter 27. He came to Pontius Pilate on the the morning of the 15th. He was unalived later on that day, and he gave up his ruach around 3 p.m. that day. And so then he was on that stake. His body needed to be brought down before the evening. Okay, so his body was brought down as we read in the writings, and he was put into the grave that first night. Right? He was put into the grave that first night. So we see here that being that he was our Passover lamb, of course, we don't eat him. All of this was to be done here at night, in the evening, before the morning. But the Messiah gave his life for us, which was still carrying over as the Passover. It was still the Passover, but not the Passover lamb that was to be eaten. He is not the one that we eat. We took care of that in the evening when we do the bread and the wine. This here was for our transgressions. This here is for us when he passes over us on the day of judgment. He sees the blood on us because we believed and obeyed. So here, the Passover lamb, our Messiah, he had to do this for the cleansing of us. But this is for a memorial. Okay, I hope I haven't lost any of you. So there is two different lambs that is being talked about here. We have the customarily Passover lamb that we're to do, and yet at the same time, symbolically, the Messiah is the Passover lamb that was unalived for us for the renewed agreement. And so as we understand, he was in the grave the first night, the second night, and the third night, just like he told us. He said 3 days and 3 nights. Again, let's go back. Here he was on the stake, which people call the cross. He was put into the grave first at night, but here's the first day, the second day, and then on the third day, he said he was going to resurrect on the third day. What is on the third day? The Sabbath. Not the first day of their fake week that they call Sunday, because they're sun worshipers. So again, this is the meaning of our Messiah, and those of us who believe in him, we're seeing everything that the word is saying, how it's lining up, and how Christianity and Catholicism has told us the lie. These are the subtle changes that Satan has made in the doctrine and has caused everybody to believe that he was raised on the first day of their week. This is so wrong. It defies all the formulas and all the plans and all the things that Yahuwah has already preordained, that he spoke the end from the beginning, even through the creation week. Does everybody understand so far what I'm saying, except for those who have left us? Because I see that when I start talking about Christianity, boy, they don't like hearing that they've been taught a lie. We've all been taught a lie. Everyone's understanding. Beautiful. Okay, let us continue. So then, as we go back to the script, this is going to take us into the week of unleavened bread. So verse 15 of the same chapter, chapter 12, it says this. I think this is going to, Yahuwah is king. This is going to answer your first day of unleavened bread, okay? That high Shabbat. So 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, okay? Indeed, on the first day you shall cause leaven to cease from your houses. For whoever eats leavened bread, notice it says whoever eats leavened bread, it's not talking about anybody who consumes yeast, okay? It's not talking about yeast. We're talking about leavened bread, okay? For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that being shall be cut off from Yasharal. So that means do not go and eat at Burger King. Don't go eat at McDonald's. I mean, I hope you don't ever eat at those places to begin with, but I'm just saying, don't go eat at Subway or Porter Subs or any of those places, or Jersey Mike's or Mike Jersey or whatever it's called, because they're going to give you leavened bread. Don't do it. It's too easy to mess up when you're not thinking in the box. When you're thinking outside the box and you're just saying, oh, I'm hungry, it's time for lunch. And then you pull over and you just say, well, yeah, let me get number 3. And the next thing you know, as soon as you take that bite, it comes to your remembrance. Oh, man, I'm not supposed to be eating this. Why am I saying that? Because I've done it in the past. Okay. So I'm speaking as one who's done it. All right. So that's why I'm sharing that with you. Please don't do that. And again, I hope you're not eating those fast food joints. And if you do, please be mindful of what it is that you take from their menu. All right. Verse 16, and on the first day is a set apart gathering. Here you are, Yahuwah's king. On the first day is a set apart gathering. And on the seventh day, you have a set apart gathering. So what are we being told? So the first day of unleavened bread and the last day of unleavened bread, you are to have a set apart gathering. So again, when you look at our calendar, you're going to see that. Here is the first day right here. This is the high Shabbat. Okay. We're going to have a gathering, just like we're going to have a gathering when we're in Phoenix, when we come together. We're going to come together for the 14th for Pesach that evening. And then we're going to come right back again the very next evening. And we're going to have a set apart congregation. All right. So, and then it says the very last day, we're supposed to do the same thing. Here's the other high Shabbat. We're going to do it again in the evening as the final celebration of that week of celebration. Okay. Now, what do we do on that day? Well, the scripture tells us, let me back this out again. Let me see. Okay, verse 16. Let me blow this up just a little bit more so you guys can see it. And on the first day is a set apart gathering, and on the seventh day is a set apart gathering, right? No work at all is to be done on them. So you understand now, the first day of unleavened bread, not Pesach, not Passover, the first day of unleavened bread. Remember, the first day of unleavened bread is the 15th day, not the 14th. Passover in the evening is the 15th. The first day of unleavened bread is the 15th at evening. Okay, you are not to work. You are not to work on the 15th. Okay, so let's back that up. Because again, it says on the first day of the set apart gathering and on the seventh day of the set apart gathering, no work at all is to be done on them. Only that what is eaten by every being, that alone is prepared by you. So again, we can eat, we can cook on those high Sabbaths, not like the weekly Sabbath. The weekly Sabbath, we're not allowed to cook. Weekly Sabbath, we're to already have everything prepped before the day. That's why we do what was called a preparation day, Arak Yaum. Arak Yaum is the day when you prepare everything so that when you go into the Sabbath, the very next day when the sun rises, you enter into that Sabbath, you don't do no work. No work, because remember, work is done in the day. Nobody in those days of the ancient times was working at night. That's a modern thing that we do today, where people have swing shifts and grave shifts and all that. No, we're not supposed to be working like that. That messes up your circadian rhythm, or whatever they call that. That rhythm that we have in our biological clock in us. You're supposed to be sleeping at night. So, again, we are to celebrate by not working on that day. So now, what is that day? So this is where people get a little confused. So let me show you. The 14th is a Shabbat. Is a Passover, excuse me, okay? Now, you can work that day, the 14th, all right? Prior to Passover, you can work during the day portion on the 14th. There's nothing stating or stipulating that you cannot work on Passover, all right? To do so, to say that you're not supposed to, is adding to the law when the law speaks silent about working on the Pesach. So you can work on Pesach, all right? But now you have to celebrate the Pesach once the evening comes. So you ain't supposed to be working in the evening nor the night anyway. It's just contrary to nature. The very next day, that's the 15th, you don't work here. You're off here. Why? Because you're getting ready to have the high Shabbat that evening. So this is where you do no work. Okay, what we just read, the first day and the last day, you do no work. So no work here, no work here. Okay? It's not talking about because we start here in the evening that you do no work here. So you're like saying, oh no, I can work in the daytime because actually, technically, unleavened bread don't start until the evening. No, 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 no. This whole day right here is considered the day of what we call the first day of unleavened bread. You do not work during the daytime right there. Okay. I hope everybody understands that. So now let's keep going. Shannon, no. See, that's another, and thank you for bringing that up. There's a lot of people who think, are we only supposed to eat unleavened bread for the 7 days? No, no. You are to eat more than just unleavened bread. Now, you can do that if you want. Some people actually like to do that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's a great time to also lose weight if you're a little heavy around the belt, okay? And you just eating unleavened bread and you're drinking water or wine or juice, whatever it is. But no, you are allowed to eat other things, okay? You're just not supposed to eat any leavened bread, okay? No leavened bread shall be seen in your house for 7 days. Okay. And all of that we're going to get into here in a minute. Also, because it's talking about a spiritual truth, right? All of these celebrated festival days have something to do with a spiritual truth, a spiritual matter. Okay. Like what we were talking about the Pesach. The Pesach, even though they did it physically with a lamb, but the spiritual truth was that the Messiah is the lamb that was slain before the foundation of the world. The 7 eyes, the 7-horned lamb that we read about in Revelation chapter 5. He's the perfect lamb, okay? That is the symbology of what the Passover is all about. Not only that he had brought us up out of the world, like he brought the children of Yasharal out of Egypt, and just like they were to put the blood upon their doorpost and upon their lintel, represented the shedding of the blood. So on that day of vengeance, Yahuwah is going to pass over us, hence the word Pesach, Passover. He's going to pass over us so that the death angel doesn't take us out. And so he's going to unalive everyone that isn't in that house that has the blood on the lintel and the doorpost. You are that house. You are the temple. And that blood that represents exactly what the Levitical priesthood had to do before the Ark of the Agreement. Remember, they were sprinkling the blood upon the altar, and then Aaron was going around touching the 4 horns of the altar, where they would take the animal and put the carcass onto the altar to burn it in fire. All of this is representing us as the body, as the temple, and all of its furnishings and all of its services. We are that body that has not been made with hands. So here we see the first day of unleavened bread. What does it represent? What does it signify? What does the leaven represent? Anybody knows what the leaven symbolically represent? Yes, exactly. S-I-N. We're to remove the leaven. But for how many days? 7 days. What is he saying? Don't have any sin in you whatsoever. For how many days? 7 days. What does the days represent? Each day represents 1,000 years. 1,000 years is a day, and a day is 1,000 years. What is he saying? His people, Yasharal, not the heathens, not the Gentiles, those who are Yasharal, native born and those grafted in. We are to be seen with no leaven in our house for 7 days, okay? What is he saying to us? You are not to have no sin in that temple that you are, as Shaul has clearly defined to us in 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and 1 Corinthians chapter 6. That do you not know that you are the temple of Yahuwah? And anyone who destroys the temple of Yahuwah, Yahuwah shall destroy that person. So if you have anything that is an abomination, anything that Yahuwah says you're not to have, anything that you're not to put your eyes upon, you, my friend, are going to get cut off. He's serious about this. He's serious about this. We can make this all seem so general and mundane and think that, oh, he's a God of mercy. He's a God of love. Well, let me tell you about our Yahuwah. Let me tell you about Al Shaddai. He says when he returns, he's coming back with vengeance. He came the first time with mercy, okay? He's still dealing with us right now as it is with mercy, unmerited favor, if you will. But he says that the day is coming when mercy and forgiveness shall be expunged. Just like when Kappa asked the Messiah, when my brother sins against me, Master, how many times should I forgive him? And Christianity erroneously teaches infinity, 70 times 7. There's a reason why he said 70 times 7, and that has a definite number at the end. You can take a 5th grader and ask him, what is 70 times 7? And he'll tell you it's 490. Why 490? Why was that placed there? Why did the Messiah say you are to forgive them 70 times 7? Because 70 times 7 is exactly the amount of time that the Messiah said to Daniel, 70 weeks are decreed to your people, Yasharal. To do what? To anoint the king, to bring an end to sin, to bring in judgment. What? That's what's going to happen at the end of the 70 times 7 when you forgive your brother 70 times 7. There's a day when that is limited. It's going to come to an expiration date. And when that day comes, there is no more forgiveness. It's too late. It's too late. So again, 7 days, you are not to have unleavened bread. That's a physical application. Now, some of you are saying, so do we need to remove all the leaven out of our house? Well, let's go back and look at what the word says. Let's read this again. I don't think we read it all anyways, but let's read it again. Because here in verse 19, we're going to see where it says here, no leaven is to be found in your houses. Okay. So let's go back. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. This is chapter 12 of Exodus. Indeed, on the first day you cause leaven to cease from your houses. Again, from the first day you cause leaven to cease from your house. So that means right after the Pesach, spring cleaning. That's where we get that word from, that event. Oh, I got to spring clean my house. That has to do with removing the leaven. That's where that custom comes from, to spring clean. So you're removing leaven out of your house as we are now in the spring. We just witnessed the first day of the year 3 days ago. Okay, we are now in spring. It is time to spring clean your house. Don't wait until that first day, because that first day, again, it says what? Indeed, on the first day, you shall cause leaven to cease from your houses. It's got to be gone already. It shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be removing it on the first day. It should have already been gone. So you need to be doing that now. Start going through your cupboards. Start looking for all those, and you probably need to do it anyway. There's probably a whole bunch of crusty stuff up in your pantry that you ain't looked at, and the sun ain't seen the light of day on that bad boy in so many days and so many months and probably some years. You need to go ahead and remove it. It's a wonderful time to clean out your cupboards and remove all that stuff. Don't just put it in your garage. Don't put it in the shed. Dump it. Get rid of it. Start all over. You might say, man, I got so much stuff. And You're probably not going to eat it anyway. It's just going to sit there in your cupboards and it's going to get stale. Go ahead and get rid of it. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that being shall be cut off from Yasharal. So again, let's look at this in a spiritual application. For whoever eats leaven, whoever takes in sin, transgression, whoever is breaking the law from the first day until the seventh day, that is the last day, that being shall be cut off from Yasharal. Now, is any of us perfect? Nope. Are you going to mess up? Yep. This is why we need the Savior. The Savior is the one who cleanses us from all of our transgressions. Does that mean you have an excuse to continue on sinning? Nope. That's exactly what Shaul was answering, aka Paul was answering in the book of Romans. In chapter 6, shall we continue on in sin so that grace may much more abound? Certainly not. Yahuwah forbid. So no, you are not to continue in sin. You are not to continue breaking the law. But how can you not be breaking the law if you're not following the law? Because you are breaking it by not keeping it. You're breaking it by not keeping it. And that's what has happened to many of us when we was in Christianity. When we was in Christianity, we didn't think about the Sabbath. That's the fourth commandment. And we're told that the Sabbath, like today is the Sabbath, is a sign between him and us. So the people who don't want to keep the Sabbath, no worries. They're not part of him. They'll figure that out on the day of judgment. Let them continue to do their Sunday worship and their Wednesday worship because they're hard-headed and stiff-necked people. But to those who have ears to hear and eyes to see, they're going to come out of those pagan temples that they call churches. They're going to see the error of their ways for following these blind guides. And these blind guides lead the blind, and they all going to fall into the ditch. Not one of them, not even their pastor, preacher, or teacher is going to be saved on that day. And they're going to go right along with them, right into the lake of fire. That's what the ditch represents. And so it goes on and says here, no work at all is to be done on them. That's talking about the first day and the last day, the seventh day. No work is to be done on them. Only that you eat by every being, that alone is prepared by you. So again, here we have a spiritual connotation here. What is this food that you're allowed to eat? The food that you're allowed to eat is to eat every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahuwah. That's the bread that you're supposed to eat. Give us this day our daily bread. Daily bread, not weekly bread. It's daily. That means you got to crack open this book and get your meal. When have you actually physically walked out of your house and not ate food unless you were fasting purposely? No, you don't forget to feed your belly. That comes naturally. Well, you need to instill that same type of understanding when it comes to spiritual food. You need to understand, even if it's just one verse, people. Read one verse, meditate, chew on that like bubble gum all day. Chew on that verse all day like bubble gum. You're going to get a workout on that jaw. Well, you're working out your mind as you're meditating on that bread, that verse, that word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Father, which is our Messiah, Yahusha, who is the word manifested. Let's continue. Verse 17. And you shall keep the festival of Matzot, that is plural for unleavened breads. For on this same day, I brought your divisions out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage, out of the world. And you shall keep this day throughout your generations, an everlasting law. Why was it broken? Who broke this everlasting law? Was it not those who claim themselves to be Christians, who have hijacked the true understanding of our Messiah? Yes. That's what we did. We broken this everlasting law and we started substituting it with Ishtar. And they also do stuff like Lent, putting this pagan image of the beast on their forehead that they call this Ash Wednesday cross. That has to do with weeping for Tammuz, that they say has no association with that. Okay, you can go ahead and lie to yourself about it if it makes you feel better. Doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, it's about either you're going to be obedient to the Creator or you're not going to be obedient to the Creator. That's up to you. Has nothing to do with your affiliation of whatever religion that you're in or who is it that you're being taught to. At the end of the day, you're going to be made to stand before the Creator on that judgment day before his throne. And you have nobody to pull from to say, well, here's my advocate, here's my pastor. He's not going to be your counselor that day. The only counselor you should have should be the Messiah. But if you are not following the Messiah's words, he's not your lawyer on that day. He's not your intercessor or mediator on that day. You are through. You're by yourself. You're exposed. You came empty-handed before the throne without no offering in your hands. So you shall guard the festival of Matzot. For on this same day I brought your divisions out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage. That's what he did when he opened up our eyes, and we are now awakened to this truth. And you shall guard this throughout your generations in everlasting law. So now that you know this, you know from this point on, Mishpachah family, we keep these days. We honor these days. We celebrate these days. We observe these days. We don't observe Ishtar, Easter. We don't observe any of these other days that they have given us on their pagan calendar called the Gregorian calendar. We don't do none of those days. And you know, I label them and name them all day long. I have no problems telling people, you ain't supposed to be following Halloween. You ain't supposed to be following Thanksgiving. You ain't supposed to be following Christmas. You ain't supposed to be celebrating no Mother's Day and Father's Day that always happens to be on a Sunday. You don't celebrate all these St. Patty's Day and St. Valentine's Day, all these saint days. This has no place, and you won't find it nowhere in Scripture. The people who gave this to you is the false assembly, those pagan temples. Yes, dear.
They text you. Oh, Cody was telling me to check on your phone just in case the guy goes.
Let me see. Excuse me, everyone. I don't think he did. No, I haven't seen it come across yet.
Almost about that time.
Okay, dear. Yep, he hasn't done it yet. I'm waiting for him.
Okay.
To that time. Just real quick, let me see here. Aki Steven, you said there's an Aki coming in from calendar group. Okay. All right. To that, Aki Steven. Appreciate you. Okay, so again, we are to keep this day as an everlasting law. Verse 18, in the first month, I shouldn't have crossed that out. I kind of got a little obnoxious by going over everything because anytime I saw something that looked like it was italicized without even thinking, I scratched that out and I shouldn't have. That should have stayed as it was. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening, you shall eat unleavened bread. Notice when it tells you you are to eat the unleavened bread. See, the scripture is very specific, and this is how we stay obedient if we follow his commandment. This is a command. He's telling us when to eat it. In the evening, you shall, not maybe you want to eat the unleavened bread. No, he says you will eat this unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month in the evening. So again, show you all again here on the calendar. So we see again, let me straighten out these books. Let me get rid of all these other pages. So again, it said on the 14th in the evening, that's part of the Pesach, until the 21st in the evening, that's the last day of Matzot. Okay, this is where we come together in the evening. We have that set apart congregation, the assembly, where we come together. All right? Okay. Let's continue. So again, it says, verse 18, on the first month of the 14th day, again, that's Pesach, of the month, in the evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month in the evening. For 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses, in your temple, your body. For if anyone eats what is leavened, meaning that you have taken in sin into your life, that same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Yasharal, whether they are a sojourner, meaning either that you're one who's been grafted in as a foreigner, as a Gentile, or one who is native born of the land. It doesn't matter. This applies to everyone. Do not eat that which is leavened. Do not consume sin. Do not take in sin into your mortal bodies that belongs to Yahuwah. Your body is his temple. In all your dwellings you are to eat unleavened bread. In all your dwellings. Now we have people. Let's exit this ramp for a second. Let's get into another passage here, another topic. And I'm sure some of you might even have this thought in your head, but I've read somewhere where it says that we're not in the land, so we're not able to keep any of the high days. So why are these people, speaking of us, why are they wanting to keep this? This is why we're celebrating Christmas and Easter and all these other holidays, because those holidays we can't do because we're not in the land. We don't have a temple anymore. Oh, well, so you see, this is what happens when you don't have spiritual eyes. I hope you have spiritual eyes to see what I'm about to share with you, so that you can see that you are. Remember what he said here. This is supposed to be an everlasting law. Okay? He said that about the Passover, and he also says it about the unleavened bread, an everlasting law. Okay? It's everlasting, unbroken, must be perpetual, continual. Who wants to break these so where you cannot continue to perpetually and continually keep it but Satan himself? He's the father of lies. He's the rebel from the very beginning. And he wants to make a whole bunch of us rebels as well. Who are the rebels? The ones who rebel against Yahuwah by not keeping his commandments. This is exactly what the Christian church has become. It's become a pagan building, temple of rebels. They've rebelled against the teachings of the Most High, yet claim to be people of the Most High. And so many people have been deceived by their doctrines. So let's go to John. Let's talk about this, because even the people who are now coming into this truth, they think they're getting smart, right? They come out of Christianity and they start to learn a little bit about the Torah, about the law. And now all of a sudden they think they're going to put you in your place and tell you what you ain't supposed to be doing. Oh, you ain't supposed to be keeping that. We're not even in the land. We're in the land of our captivity, and we don't have no priesthood and we don't have no temple. So how are you going to keep these things? You going against the commandments. Really now? Let me show you. Let's go to the Brit HaKadosh, also known as the New Testament. Show you all, and I want you to keep this in your mind. You're going to see the word worship and worshipers over and over again. Remember what I just shared with you. Remember those two words, worship and worshipers. Now, when we're talking about the passages, especially in Deuteronomy, where it talks about you are to keep these feasts where I have placed my name, okay, in the land where he wants to place his name. This is where we're to do these festivals, these high days, these appointed times. Excuse me. Now, to celebrate that is another word that we would use for worship. To worship him is to celebrate him, okay? So if you're celebrating Christmas, guess what you're doing? You guessed it. You're worshiping Christmas. If you're celebrating Halloween, what are you doing? You guessed it. You're worshiping Halloween. But you're like, how can I be worshiping? Because it's your understanding of the word worship. You're celebrating it. To celebrate is to worship. So I want you to see, remember the two words, worship and worshipers, okay? All right. This was the woman that Yahusha, the Messiah, came upon when he was thirsty at this well. She says here in verse 20, our fathers worshipped on this mountain. Notice she said worshipped on this mountain, but you people say that in Jerusalem, Yahushalom, is the place where one needs to worship. Yahusha, the Messiah, said to her, woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you shall neither. Notice what he says here. He says the hour is coming. He is telling her a foreshadow. He's telling her a prophecy, and we're reading about this prophecy, and we now see the outcome of this prophecy. Believe me, the hour is coming when you shall neither on this mountain nor in Yahushalom, Jerusalem, there's that word, worship the Father. You worship, there's that word, what you do not know. We worship, there's that word, what we know. Because what? Salvation is of the Gentiles. Oh, no, that's not what it says. Salvation, deliverance, is of the Christians. Oh, no, that's not what it's saying. Salvation, deliverance is of the Yahudim. Yours may say Jews. It's not talking about the Jewish people over there with the curly locks. But the hour is coming, and now is, says the Messiah, now is, when the true worshipers, there's that word, shall worship, there's that word, the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father also does seek such to what? There's that word, worship him. Alua Elohim is spirit. The mighty of mighty ones is spirit. And those who, there's that word, worship him need to what? Worship him. There's that word, in spirit and truth. So what are we getting out of all of this? Remember what he said. This woman says, we've been told that you're supposed to worship in Jerusalem, right? Isn't that where he placed his name? Isn't Jerusalem where he placed his name? Isn't that where the Temple Mount, the city of David, isn't that where that is? Yes, it is. But the Messiah is saying, woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you shall neither worship on this mountain, which is where this well was, Jacob's well, nor in Jerusalem. That is Mount Zion. That is the Temple Mount, Mount Moriah. You're not going to worship the Father there either. Why? Because you're going to worship him wherever you live. Why is that? Because the Spirit done left the building. Let me show you this. Abba Yahuwah, please give people eyes to see and ears to hear what you are sharing with us. Matthew chapter 27, verse 51. Well, notice what it says here. This is when he gave up his spirit. So he's unalived here at this point on that tree that they have mistakenly called the pagan cross. And see, the veil of the dwelling place of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the arats, the earth was shaken, and the rocks were split. When did this happen? He said, the hour is coming, and now is. He was foreshadowing his death to this woman to let her know this is what's going to happen after they unalive me. That temple over there in Jerusalem that you talked about, where the Jews say that's where you're supposed to worship, you ain't going to be worshiping me over there anymore. You're going to worship me in spirit and in truth. For such is Alua Elohim. The Father is spirit, and we are to worship him in spirit and in truth. Hallelujah. So where are we to worship him? Well, you are that temple. You are that temple. Just like it says here, and I had brought it up earlier, 1 Corinthians chapter 16, chapter 3, verse 16, excuse me. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16. Do you not know that you are the dwelling place of Alua Elohim? And that the Spirit, remember, the Spirit done left the building. Why? Because the Spirit is now dwelling in you. It no longer dwells in the buildings of man. It dwells in you. If anyone then destroys the dwelling place of Alua Elohim shall destroy that person. For the dwelling place of Alua Elohim is set apart that you are. You are that being. You are that temple. You have been made as a support post, a pillar in the body of the Messiah. You are that temple. This is why the Messiah says, tear down this building, and in 3 days, I shall erect it up again. Or tear down this body, and in 3 days, I shall build it up again. He was talking about us. We're the body. He's the head. What's 3 days? After 2 days, after 2,000 years, we're going to be resurrected. This goes back to Hosea chapter 6, verse 1, 2, and 3. Once you start putting line upon line, a little bit here and a little bit there, precept must be upon precept. It starts to all add up. You can connect the dots. It all comes together. But you got to have the spiritual mindset to understand these things. So after what I have shown you, or I should say what the Spirit has shown you, in John chapter 4, we are to continue to keep his feast days, because now his name is placed upon you. This is what we read. Revelation chapter 7. And he cried with a loud, wait, back up. Do not harm, this is verse 3 of chapter 7, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Alua Elohim upon their foreheads. I shared this with you yesterday. Look at this. And I looked and saw the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name. This was the seal written upon their foreheads. This is where he places his name. He places it on our foreheads. This is why many of you are being attacked spiritually, because Satan and the fallen ones and the demons, they know who you are and what you mean to the creator of heaven and earth. You belong to him. He says, I know who are mine. He knows who are his. You think everything's supposed to be hunky-dory when you come to him. This is what Christianity teaches. Oh, if you have a need, plant your seed. Money cometh forth. No, we don't do that. We don't play that here. Yahuwah don't play that. Who plays that? Satan plays that. That's why he's the G-O-D. He is the G-O-D. He is God Real. He is the G-O-D of money, of fortune. That's why it's all over imprinted on your Babylonian promissory notes called the greenbacks, dollar bills, y'all. You are that temple. You are to keep the feasts. Anyone who doesn't want to keep the feast, no worries. You're not his. Don't worry. You won't be with us when the kingdom comes. You can go ahead and continue on to spat off at the mouth all these wicked things that you're going to have to give an account for on that day for every idle word that proceeds out of your mouth. Has nothing to do with us, has everything to do with you and you standing before the creator who created you. You have every right to say what you want to say, but just know that there's consequences and repercussions for what's coming out of your mouth, and out of your mind, because he's going to judge the thoughts and the intents of your heart. Doesn't matter what you say that's coming out your mouth. It's what you're thinking. It's what you're thinking. This is why he told us that if you even look at a woman with lust in your eyes, you've already committed the act of adultery. That's how easy it is to break the law. And we all do it practically every day. Something that we do, something that sets us off, and we find ourselves contrary to his law. And this is why we need the Savior. Because if we could do it ourselves, we wouldn't need him. Instead of being like Christians and saying, oh, the law is too hard. Nobody can keep the law. No one can keep all 613 laws. Besides, anyways, the law has been done away with. We are not of those people. We let them go ahead and continue to say that. We know better. We know that the law doesn't save us. We know who does save us. But that doesn't mean that we don't keep the law, because that's the laws of conduct. We are to conduct ourselves as the children of light and children of the day, and not children of the night, and nor the children of darkness. But that's what Christianity has taught us. This is why they don't keep any of the feast days. This is why they don't know what the Sabbath is. This is why they don't know that he was resurrected on a Sabbath instead of their pagan Sunday. Because they don't know the law, nor do they want to. They purposely hide their eyes from the Sabbath, as it says in Ezekiel chapter 22. But we give praise and honor to our Abba Yahuwah because he saw the intent of our heart. He saw what we wanted. We wanted to know the truth. We're tired of being lied to. We knew there was something off about Christianity. We just couldn't put our fingers on it when we was in it. And now that the time of restoration has come, and he is restoring things to his people, those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, oh, he's revealing it to us. For them, no, they got to go through the great tribulation, and they're going to learn. And some of us have to go through the great tribulation too. Why? Because Yahuwah loves those people so much that he needs some of us to stay behind enemy lines to continue to teach these people who have gone the wrong way for far too long. But he's going to show them This is how much I loved you. I still sent people to you, even in the great tribulation, to show you the truth, and yet you still didn't choose me. You chose otherwise. And here they are waiting for the beast system to come. And the whole time the beast system has been here, and some of us came out of the beast system. And that's why he tells us to come out of her, my people. And so this is why we're celebrating what we're celebrating, the Pesach. Why? Because we belong to the Lamb. Why? Because we want to keep his commandments. Why? Because we love him. No one keeps the commandments unless they love him. Before I came into this truth, I didn't truly love him. I thought I loved him. I thought I knew him. I didn't know him whatsoever. What I knew was what was taught to me. That wasn't a personal relationship. Even though Christianity talks about, oh, you're supposed to have a personal relationship with your creator. There's nothing personal about what we were doing. This is the guy here. Hold on, you guys. I need to text him, let him know. Because I know he's probably going to call me right back, which means that I got to get ready to head over here and meet him, you guys. Give me a second, okay? Give me a second. Let me just hit him up. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. Okay, let me do this here. Hi, Alex. Are you on the way? I am. Okay. All right. So I think he's going to tell me that he is going to meet me there, but we're going to pick up on this. We're going to pick up on this about keeping his feast days. As we've come into this new year, and I see that many of you have never kept any of his feast days, including Pesach, this is a perfect time for you to start following, okay? This is a perfect time, and when I'm saying following, I'm not talking about following me, I'm talking about following the Messiah. Okay, he says he would be there. Okay, what time did he say? Okay, and what time is it now? So about 40 minutes. Okay, I will be there at 3:45. Okay. All right. So, got a little bit more time with you guys. Got about an hour. I mean, I'm not going to be here for an hour, but I'm going to have to get off here in about 15 minutes because it's not right around the corner from my house. So we have to keep the Pesach. Okay? And not only do we have to keep the Pesach, but we also have to keep the other feast days. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 23, where it gives us a little more information. Oh, wait. Before we do, let me read the rest of this. I don't want us to go on without finishing up this Pesach. So here again in Exodus chapter 12, okay, starting at verse 21, because we had just read about unleavened bread. Do not eat that what is leavened. In all your dwellings, you are to eat unleavened bread. What is the unleavened bread? What did we talk about? What does it mean spiritually speaking? Every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Father. That's unleavened bread. That is not the boastful, the pridefulness, the leavening of the word, the sin. We don't consume that. We're not to consume that, even though some of us will, spiritually speaking. But this is how Abba Yahuwah has us fast. We fast physically and we fast spiritually before Abba Yahuwah so that he can give us the meat of the word. That word becomes our meat. It becomes our food. When we see the word meat, most of the times in the King James Version, it's talking about food. We eat the food, the meat of the word, the food, which is the word The word is what gives us our sustenance, our spiritual sustenance, so that we are healthy spiritually. Even though our bodies are getting old and it's decaying because of entropy, as they would say, the second law of thermodynamics, we're slowly decaying. We're slow. The day that we was born, we started dying. The very day we came out of our mother's womb, death penalty was on us. That's what it means to be under the curse of the law. Death penalty. Now that we have been born anew, we've been born again, while the outer body, the outer shell is dying, the inner man, the inner body is getting reborn daily. It should be getting renewed daily. This is why Shaul says we are to renew our mind daily. Hallelujah. Verse 21. And Masha called for all the elders of Yasharal and said to them, go out and take lambs for yourselves according to your clans and slay the Pesach. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the dam, in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 doorposts with the dam that is in the basin. And you. So they are to put it on the they are put it on the doorpost, and they are to put it on themselves. None of you shall go out of that door of his house until Bakor. What does this mean spiritually? We have the blood of the Messiah on us. When do we come up out these doors? We don't until the Messiah comes in the morning, that Bakor. He is that star that rises in the morning. This is all spiritual. It's all, if you have eyes to see, you can see this in the text. It's there. And Yahuwah shall pass on to smite the Mizrites, that is, the citizens of the world, and shall see the blood on the lintel and on the doorpost, and Yahuwah shall pass over the door and not allow the destroyer, that's the angel of death, to come into your houses to smite you. That is to say, to destroy your temple. And you shall guard this word as a law for you and your children forever. And it shall be, when you come to the land that Yahuwah gives you, we haven't gotten there yet, which is the promised land, as he promised, that you shall guard or keep this service. And it shall be, when your children say to you, what does this service mean to you? Then you shall say, it is the Pesach, it is the Passover, the slaughtering of Yahuwah, who passed over the houses of the children of Yasharal. Notice that, who passed over the houses of the children of Yasharal. It doesn't say anybody else. It doesn't say Christians. It doesn't say Gentiles. It doesn't say heathens. No, the children of Yasharal in Egypt when he smote the Mizrites. So where are we at? While the children of Israel was in the world, that's what Egypt represents, when he smote all those who are in the world and delivered our households. He delivered our households. This is why you guys hear me talk about the 144,000 being 144,000 households. And the people bowed their heads and did obeisance. They did worship. And the children of Yasharal went away and did so as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe and Aaron, so they did. Now let's go to Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus chapter 23, where you can find all the list of all the high days, all the appointed times. It says this at the very beginning of Leviticus chapter 23. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Yasharal. Notice who's being spoken to, the children of Yasharal. It's always been about the children of Yasharal, those who are native born and those who shall graft in with them, the mixed multitude. And say to them, the appointed times of Yahuwah that you are to proclaim as set apart gatherings, my appointed times are the following, are these. The very first one, Shabat. 6 days work is to be done, but on the 7th day is a Shabbat of rest. That is today. I know there's some of you that's listening saying, did he say Sabbath is today? Man, this guy is all messed up. He don't know what he's talking about. That's okay. You don't understand. But I hope you stick around to find out. So again, 6 days work is to be done, but the seventh is a Shabbat of rest, a set apart gathering. You do no work. It is a Sabbath to Yahuwah. It is a Sabbath to Yahuwah in all your what? Dwellings, your homes. These are the appointed times of Yahuwah, set apart gatherings that you are to proclaim, you are to preach, you are to announce at their appointed times. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, again, here they have between the evenings, it should say at evening is the Pesach to Yahuwah. And we just went over that in Exodus chapter 12. You can go back and look at it. On the 15th day of this month is the festival of Matzot. You may know it as the festival of unleavened bread to Yahuwah. 7 days you eat unleavened bread. Okay? So I want you guys to notice something. The very first day, or the very first set apart gathering is the Sabbath. Remember, it says it is a Sabbath to Yahuwah. Then we read about the Pesach, the Passover, and it says is the Pesach to Yahuwah. And now we're reading about the festival or the unleavened bread, and it says the festival of unleavened bread is to Yahuwah. 7 days you eat unleavened bread. Notice that none of these say it's unto you. You're going to see which one is unto us. Let's continue. On the first day, you have a set apart gathering. You do no work. This is exactly what we read in Exodus chapter 12. And you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah for 7 days. People say, see, you can't do that. You don't have no priesthood. You don't have no temple. You don't have no altar. Pump the brakes, stop, get out the car, smell the coffee, and let me show you something. Let's go to Hebrews. What does it mean to offer him fire as an offering? Let's go back here. Let's look at this. What does it say here? And you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. You shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah for 7 days. Well, in the book of Hebrew, also known as Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 15, says this. Let me put my bookmarker here. Through him, notice him is capitalized. Through him, then, through the Messiah, then, let us continually offer up a slaughtering offering of praise to Alua Elohim, that is, the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. That's what the offerings were always about. Giving thanks, giving him what is due to him, asking for forgiveness. All of it is done by our lips. This is the offering of, you've heard of people saying, give him the offering of praise. Well, this is it. This is where it comes from. Give him the fruit of our lips. This is what is to be made by fire that you read here. You are to bring your offering with fire or by fire to Yahuwah for 7 days. On the 7th day is a set apart gathering. You do no servile work. So that's the last day of unleavened bread. Then it goes on and says this. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Yasharal, again, to no one else but the children of Yasharal, and you shall say to them, when you come into the land that I will give you, and shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sieve of first fruits of your harvest to the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah for your acceptance. On the morrow or the day after the Sabbath, the priest waves it. And on that day, when you wave the sheaf, you shall prepare a male lamb, a year old, a perfect one, as an ascending offering to Yahuwah. Now, again, we don't do this anymore because why? All the animal sacrifices have been done away with because of what our Messiah has done for us. He fulfilled those things. And so it goes on into what you are to bring before him, okay? And as we get closer to this Feast of First Fruits, we'll talk about this more. But I wanted to bring this up so you can see here, it says it's a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Just like what I shared with you from John chapter 4, when the Messiah spoke to the woman at the well, no longer on this mountain or the mountain in Jerusalem are you going to worship the Father. Why? Because he wants you to worship him in spirit and in truth. You are that temple. You are that temple. So for you not to keep it, you shall be cut off from the land of the living. You'll be cut off from your people. You will not be dwelling with the Most High. You'll be dwelling with Satan in the lake of fire. And from the day after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, you shall count for yourself 7 completed Sabbaths. Until the day after the 7th Sabbath, you count to the 50th day. This is where you hear the Greek word Pentecost. Penta meaning 50, cost meaning count. Count 50. That's what Pentecost means. But where does it come from? It comes from here. We call it in the Hebrew tongue Shabuat. Shabuat, which is what? It's a plural for weeks. Shabua is a week. Shabuat is weeks, plural. It's the festival of weeks, okay? So it goes on and says, bring from your dwelling for a wave offering 2 loaves of bread, 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour. They are baked with leaven. Notice here, they are baked with leaven. First fruits to Yahuwah. You may say, but I thought we weren't supposed to eat anything with leaven. No, this is where you're able, this is when you're able to eat leavened bread. We didn't know that you're not supposed to eat leaven. After the day of unleavened bread, the week of unleavened bread, you are not to see right here. It says, verse 14, and you do not eat bread nor roasted grain or fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering to Aluah Elohim. It is a law forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. So from the time of the unleavened bread, right here, for 7 days, going into the first fruits, you still don't eat no bread. This is when you start eating bread, right here. Bring from your dwelling for a wave offering 2 loaves of bread of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour. They are baked with leaven. First fruits to Abba Yahuwah. And besides the bread, you shall bring 7 lambs of a year old, perfect ones, young bull, and 2 rams. Again, we don't do this. They are an ascending offering to Yahuwah, with their grain offering and their drink offerings and their offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. To Yahuwah. Okay? So again, here we have the first fruits to Yahuwah. We talked about the Sabbath being to Yahuwah, right? The Sabbath is to Yahuwah. The Pesach is to Yahuwah. The festival of Matzot, the unleavened bread, is to Yahuwah. Okay, and then we find out here that the first fruits is also to Yahuwah. The ascending offering is to Yahuwah. The fire is to be to Yahuwah. Then we come here. We see it. First fruits unto Yahuwah, right? So now we come down here to verse 21. And on this same day you shall proclaim a set-apart gathering for yourselves. You do not do any work on it. A law forever in all your dwellings, wherever your home is, throughout your generations. So does that mean that when we are on the lam, when we have to run from the beast system and they're wanting to mark every man, woman, and child, and we find ourselves out in the wilderness, do we continue to keep these practices? Of course. We still observe it. We might not be able to bring no bread to him, but we still observe it. We know what these days represent. We know where we are on his calendar. That's why we did the whole exercise of knowing how to trace out the first day of the year, the spring equinox, so that we can now then locate and number our days to know when we have our Sabbaths, to know when we're going to have our Pesach, to know when we're going to have our unleavened bread, to know when we're going to have our first fruits, to know when we're going to have all the rest of these festival days. While we're in the wilderness, we're still keeping this. This is why he's given us the calendar once again. It has been restored to his people. Because if you continue to follow this paganistic calendar, the day that you leave and you step off that pavement, off that sidewalk, and you enter into the wilderness lands, because of the things that are going on at that moment, mark the words, you're going to forget what day of the pagan week you're on. You're going to forget where you are on their calendar. You may know the season, but you're not going to know the day. Why? Because the things that are going to come upon us so fast, you're going to be in shock. And whenever you're in shock, you're not thinking properly. Once you come out of that shock and you come back to yourself, meaning that you are now having some kind of serenity and you're able to think a little bit, you're going to be like, man, hey, Jimmy, do you know what day it is? Nah, man, when we had to run, the last thing I was thinking about what day it was. Here we are 4 or 5 days out from the time that we left. I don't remember now. I think it might be Tuesday. It might be Thursday. I don't know. And as the time goes further and further on, the more you're going to forget about those days. Because you have nothing that is anchored to the sun, moon, and the stars. You won't have a clue where you are on anyone's calendar. And this is why Yahuwah has restored the calendar to his people, to let them know that his calendar is anchored to the sun, the S-U-N, that you need to follow. His calendar is anchored to the sun, the S-U-N, so that you may follow his calendar. And so we go on here and it talks about how, verse 23, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Yasharal, saying, on the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you have a rest, a remembrance of TURAH. This TURAH is noises. Okay? Down here, you see that letter C right there? Here's the C. Literal soundings by instrument or human voice. This is the day of noises. TURAH. We call it the day of trumpets. But it doesn't say remembrance of Shopar. No, it's TURAH. Noises. Or noise. It's the remembrance of noise, a set apart gathering. You do no servile work. You shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. Again, the fruit of our lips. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, on the 10th day of the 7th month, okay, the 7th month, we're in the 1st month, so we got a ways to go. I'm reading this because I need you all to see that, again, we are to keep these festival days, just like we're getting ready to keep the Pesach and the Feast of Matzot. We're also going to be keeping these as well. This in particular is not a festival day, and you'll see why it's not a festival. On the 10th day of the 7th month is Yom HaKippurim. It shall be a set-apart gathering for you. You shall afflict your beings, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. And you do no work on that same day, for it is Yom Kippurim, to make atonement for yourself before Yahuwah, your Alua Elohim. What is Yom HaKippurim? It is the Day of Atonement. For any being, let me read that again. For any being who is not afflicted on that same day, TURAH Akiel, he or she shall be cut off from their people. What does it mean, one who has not afflicted themselves? It's talking about fasting. This is where it talks about you are to afflict your beings. This afflicting of the beings is no food, no water, and it tells you how long you're to do this. Any being who does any work on that same day, that being I shall destroy from the midst of his people. You do no work, a law forever. Let me read that again. You do no work, a law forever, throughout your generations in all your dwellings. You see that? Why do we keep seeing that it talks about your dwellings? It doesn't mention the temple, not once. It says in all your dwellings, in all your homes, in all where you live, you're to keep this. It is a Sabbath of rest to you, not to Yahuwah. Remember, this is a weekly Sabbath. It is the Sabbath to Yahuwah in all your dwellings. This one is not that same type of Sabbath. This Sabbath here, it is a Sabbath of rest to you, and you shall afflict your beings on the 9th day of the new month at evening. From evening to evening, you observe your Sabbath, not his Sabbath. This ain't no weekly Sabbath. People make they have a misunderstanding of this verse 32. And they think that every Sabbath is from evening to evening. This is speaking of this one particular day that starts in the 9th day at the evening of the 7th month, and it ends on the 10th day of the 7th month, okay, at evening. This is the Sabbath in verse 32 that is talking about from evening to evening. You observe your rest, your Sabbath. This is not your weekly Sabbath. This is a totally different Sabbath. Totally different. Yes, dear. Well, Miss Baka, I'm going to have to cut it off from here. I got to get moving. It's going to take me about 30 minutes to get to where I got to go. But like I said, Yahuwah willing, I'm going to be coming back later on this evening so that we can continue on this day, this first Shabbat of the year, and how beautiful it is. And I will give an announcement to some of the Akis and Akodis. We have a group text that I'll be able to send out to some of you, and then you guys can let everybody else know. But just know this, I'll be coming back here on YouTube, not on TikTok. And if you don't hear from me, I apologize, but just come back and just check if you are interested. Just check, because sometimes YouTube does not send out notifications when I'm on. And I apologize for that. It's out of my hands. It's just that they're not promoting my channel because of the things that I talk about. They've told me this already, that they're not going to. TikTok says the same thing about my channel. They're not going to promote it. Why? Because they don't want people to know the truth. That's why they won't promote it. Okay, so it's going to have, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to search it out if you are interested. And if you're not interested, no worries. All right, so Yahuwah barak you and keep you. May he continue to allow the countenance of his light to shine upon you. And we'll come back here again, Yahuwah willing, in a few. My name is Og Jimmy, also known as Brother Jimmy, and we are ambassadors of Yah. And again, it's not playing right when I think I'm getting ready to have this thing go off, and it's not, because I don't have the volume up. Let me start it over again. Okay, let's try this, because for some reason it just doesn't want to act right. Okay. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Mishpachah. See you in a few.
Sharper than fishing hooks, snagging souls, taking tolls, leaving devils shook. Who we be? Messengers, truth bringers, that's the key. Unlocking minds, leaving darkness in debris. We are the ambassadors, ambassadors, yeah. We are the ambassadors, ambassadors, yeah. Spreading love from near to far. We are the ambassadors, ambassadors, yeah. Listen close, hear us, yeah. We are the ambassadors, ambassadors, yeah. Spreading love from near to far. We are the ambassadors, ambassadors, yeah. Listen close, hear us, yeah. Verses be thumping, shofars be blowing, beat be steady. Word power every hour, truth already. Planted deep secrets keep fools unsteady. We elevate till your fate be ready. No compromise. Open your eyes, see the light. Walk